Hi, I'm Melissa, and this is the Book Break. And today we're talking to a historical fiction, but historical romance author, Arlem Hawks. We're going to bring her right in. Hi, Arlem.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I'm so good because I just finished your book, Beyond the Lavender. Oh no, Beyond the Lavender Field, right? Let's show the actual cover of it. There we go. Beyond the Lavender Fields. I got so into it that then I just went blank for a second. So this just came out, and it goes to a time period that a lot of historical romance readers may not be super familiar with. Tell us about the time period that this book and where it takes place.
The French Revolution is just a fascinating time period where so many things were going on, so many people were unsure of where they stood, and it was a time period where you really had to pick sides or your life was in danger.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot that we can draw from this time period, a lot of similarities to today's world where things are so crazy and information, you don't know where to turn for the right information, and you have to kind of take a stance and figure out what you believe. And
yeah, and that's hard because people, even in today's world, are pretty divided on some political topics. But what I really liked in this book was, even though we've got the Jacobist and the royalist, they still find a way to find commonalities. And I like that your main male character in this, now I'm sure I'm saying his name wrong. Is it Giles? How do I say his name?
Giles is the English version. Gilles is how you would say it in French.
Yeah. Gilles, okay. So he is a Jacobist. He's for the revolution, but he still maintains his humanity and his dignity, and he's not for all the violence that takes place during that time. And part of that is Caroline brings him back to what's going on. So, like, she helps him see through. It's not as black and white as it really looks. And I think that's important. So what is it about the French era, and you've written other books before, and so what is it about France that drew you to writing a historical romance in that specific place?
Well, I have studied French for a lot of my life. It is a country that has always fascinated me, and I went on study abroad there. And
Awesome.
one thing that is interesting, no matter where you go, you see influence of the French Revolution. It just played such a huge role in not only French history, but European history as a whole, especially through like the end of the 18th century and the 19th century. And it was just so fascinating to me how big an effect it had on everything in French life. And
yeah, well, and I think it's very interesting that how you mentioned how it had an impact on all of Europe, because where Giles, where his father was a mariner, he was a sailor, and he carried goods. The ability to carry goods to different places in Europe was greatly affected, and what kinds of goods could be carried was greatly affected all over Europe. So that's really interesting. And about his father, I think that relationship is super interesting because in the beginning of your book, I didn't really like your father, or not your father. Your father, I'm sure, is very nice, but Giles's father, I didn't really like him all that much. But later, my opinion of him started to change, but I won't say exactly why because I don't want to give too many spoilers, but it was really great. And the other thing I thought about this as a romance that's different from a lot of the romances that I've read is your main point of view is actually a male point of view.
Yes.
And that's unique. I mean, in the last, I was thinking about this just last night, the last 14 romance books I've read, this is the only one that is mainly from a male perspective. So I thought that was fascinating. And you still brought in the woman. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts. And I mean, how did you decide to do it like that?
Oh, there were a lot of reasons that I decided to go that route. I had created this character, Gilles, for Georgiana's Secret. He's the surgeon on the ship in Georgiana's Secret. And I fell in love with him. And I just knew that I had to tell his story. But as I was creating the story, I realized that it really was more his story. He was the one that was changing the most. He was the one that was growing the most. And right before I started writing Beyond the Lavender Fields, I had read A Song for the Stars, where she has mostly the woman's point of view, and then the man's point of view is through like journaling. And I thought that that was such a unique way of doing it, and I liked the idea of just having the woman be a little bit have a little bit more mystery, I guess. And I liked the idea of having this kind of ongoing conversation with her cousin, where we get her point of view through letters and just kind of venting to her cousin. I thought that it would be a little different from what we see in most romances, and I just thought it would be fun to see her almost more in a venting and a confiding role rather than just being in her head the whole time.
Yeah. I thought that was really unique and fun too. Because like I said, it's very different. So I really liked that. It was good for me to see that different perspective. So your book is brand new, and you mentioned Georgiana's Secret, which I read last year and I love. So Beyond the Lavender Fields is your newest book. Are you online where our viewers can learn more about you and all of your happenings and books and things like that?
Yes, I am probably most active on Instagram. I post videos semi-frequently about just little historical things that I learned. And I have been posting videos about the French Revolution if you want to learn more, kind of a French Revolution 101, because there's so much with the French Revolution. And
so I love that you are talking about it on Instagram and online. And do you have a website too?
I do, arlemhawks.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today, Arlem. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you to our viewers. We'll see you next time.